Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're talking about the VCT Americas Kickoff tournament and looking at the matches that have happened so far. We just got done with the first weekend of the Kickoff tournament for both Americas and Pacific, Pacific having more matches. They were doing like 3 per day for a minute there, and I think they're still having matches throughout the week. So they're just running through it, whereas Americas is just taking it through the weekend. So I thought it'd be good to look at the results of all the matches that happened over the weekend and see what we can derive from it. Starting off with opening day, we had Energy versus Furia. It was a 2-0 victory for Energy. Overall, I thought Furia did play well. They did make, at least the first map like decently competitive, but it was pretty clear that Energy just had much more talent than them, and they just ended up getting outclassed in that department. NW Zera did play well, but even he went negative on one of the maps. So if you're a Furia fan, that's definitely not the result that you were hoping for, and they did lose their next match, but we'll get to that later. Early returns on this new Energy core is they do look very good, but we'll see what happens when they face a better team in Cloud9. Which brings us to match number 2 that happened that day. That was Cloud9 versus MIBR. This was a pretty surprising match for me. I mean, I don't rank either of these teams very high on my power rankings for Americas, but MIBR performed very valiantly throughout this match. They did take one of the maps, and for a second there, it kind of looked like they were maybe going to beat Cloud9 overall. Oxy then decided to go God mode and stomp out any chance of that happening. With MIBR, it seems like while they may not have the same talent level as other teams in the Americas, they seem like they have a really good coaching staff that is going to get a lot out of this team. This is a team that looks like they could play spoiler to some better teams, so we'll see what happens later in the bracket for them because they are not out yet. Whereas with Cloud9, it kind of what I expected from them, a bit of a sloppy play, not looking particularly elite, but still good enough to win games that they should. They're against Energy next, so we'll see where they truly rank among the teams in the Americas when they play a team that talented. And if they beat them, I'll definitely put them higher on my power rankings, but I do think Energy is going to take that match. But it should be a really close one. Moving on to the next day of the weekend, February 17th, we had Loud versus Sentinels. It ended up being a 2-0 from Loud, but that definitely doesn't tell the whole story of the match. Sentinels did play very well, but Loud just proved why they are probably the best team in all of Americas by just outclassing their opponents, bringing out wacky comps that no other team would expect them to throw out, and they just caught Sentinels off guard, and Sadak proved why he's the best IGL in the world. John QT did have some really good calling on this match, but overall Sadak's he's the guy. He's him. So this new Sentinels team getting a real taste of what it means to face adversity in the Americas. Loud do look poised to make it to playoffs. We'll see how they do against Leviton. Sentinels, well, now they are in the second round of the lower stage in their group, so they might have to rematch Loud. If Leviton beats them, they might have to face Leviton, but either way, those are two very good teams, and that's going to be really tough for them. Which brings us to Leviton versus 100 Thieves, and this is where 100 Thieves fans started to feel, oh boy, are we going to do this again? Leviton won this match 2-1. They won the first map very dominantly, but then the second map, 100 Thieves ended up getting their number. And then the third map, both teams played well, but Leviton did end up coming on top. Aspas just looking like he's picking up where he left off, and now he might have a bit more freedom on this roster. And for 100 Thieves, they need to learn how to start matches on time. Both this match and their match against Sentinels, they had a terrible first map. You have to start very good right away. You can't just pick up your game in the second map and hope to win matches. That's just not going to work. So they need to learn how to start these matches on time and make sure that they are on form right away. For Leviton, I expected them to maybe have some chemistry issues right out the gate, but they did kind of prove me wrong. There still was a bit of sloppiness to their game, but just with the talent that they have with Aspas, Tex, and Calm having a very good match as well. If this team can continue to play structured and smart Valorant, then they should be in a good position for the rest of the season. They have some amazing talent, so if it all fits chemistry-wise, and we'll see what happens when they face a lot of adversity, because they will against Loud, so we'll see how that turns out for them. But either way, that match is on Friday. Moving on to the Sunday, February 18th, that just had one match that day. That was G2 versus Crew. G2 did end up taking this 1-2-1, but Crew made it really close. I got a comment on my power rankings video about the Americas saying that I was way too high on Crew, that I was smoking something fierce. Thinking I put them at about 6th or 7th. But I just want to say that I think that's a fair ranking, at least for the time being. They looked really good this match, they just couldn't close it out. And this match was very reminiscent of the same kind of problems that they had last year. They can make a map close, they can even take a map in a match, but they just had problems closing out matches, and this is a prime example of it. They won Icebox 13-9, they lost Sunset 13-9, but then on Ascent, they were attacking first, and they end up going into the second half on your defense half being up 7-5. And Ascent is known as a defender-sided map. So going into the second half where you are on defense and you have a 7-5 advantage, it's not a huge advantage, but you've just won your attack side. You have to win that game. You cannot lose that game after having such a good performance on your attack side. G2 just ended up getting the better of them and won that match, letting Crew only win 4 on their defense side. So it was really close. It was 13-11, just barely missing overtime. And G2, it looked like they may have just had to shake off some jitters, but they did perform overall good enough to win this match. Kesnet on the Crew side looking like a monster this match. This man is one of the best duelists in the Americas, and I really hope he gets to show it on an international stage for more than 2 matches. Champions 2023. G2 should be able to beat EG now. EG have a lot more prep than the other teams because they play on Saturday. So not only do they get a bye, they also get a lot of time to prepare. Now they've seen G2 play, so we'll see how they adjusted that. But on paper, I do think G2 is a much more talented team, so they should be able to take that match. So if G2 does win that one, then Crew will have to face EG. I would have Crew winning that one, but we'll see. I mean, we have no idea how that EG roster is going to perform yet. Moving on to February 19th, so the Monday, and it was a holiday, so they got 2 matches on the day. MIBR versus Furia. MIBR takes it 2-0. So by winning this match, I think MIBR dodged the worst team in America's allegations. I have both these teams very low on my power rankings, but now that MIBR has taken a map off Cloud9 and beaten Furia 2-0, I do think they surpassed them, and Furia probably takes that number 11 spot on my power ranking. Furia, there's some talent there, but is just, I don't know if it's going to be good enough to win a lot of matches this year. And as I said earlier, MIBR surprisingly do look pretty good. I don't think they're going to win a lot of matches this year, but they do look like they're well coached and do have some good strats going on for them and should be able to surprise some teams. Beating Furia isn't a huge accomplishment, but it definitely shows that they're not the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the Americas. So we'll see if they have to rematch against Cloud9 or have to go through Energy. Either way, I don't know if I see them making it to the playing stage, but crazier things have happened. Then moving on to the Clout Bowl, as people were calling it, Sentinels versus 100 Thieves. This was an absolute barn burner of a match, both teams looking bad at points, both teams looking really good at points, and a crazy last map to cap it off. And 100 Thieves, I feel really bad for them. They got a really bad draw with this group, but they still performed, I think, better than most people expected. Again, they didn't start on time. They had a bad first map. They're gonna have to fix that, but they cleaned it up in the second map and looked very good. That last map, they had some really good clutch plays and looked like they could maybe turn the tide of that match, but it just ended up didn't happening. Sentinels just overall having better fundamentals, better clutches, better strats overall for that split, and a better comp having a Sentinel on that split map, whereas 100 Thieves opted for a double initiator, so that probably kind of shot them in the foot there. But overall, I think 100 Thieves, they haven't been together with this new form of their roster for very long, so they do have some kinks to iron out, but I think they're going to be a really good team. And now that they've had this embarrassing loss, well, not too embarrassing, but a loss nonetheless, I do think that this team is going to get tired of losing, and they better do it quick, and they better use that frustration to their advantage. They should use these losses as motivation over just getting sad about it and just not performing well at all for the rest of the year. I think they have to use this and just come into the regular season split as motivated as humanly possible. And for Sentinels, it's still an uphill battle for them. Now they have to make it through the play-in to go into playoffs, and they have to face one of Leviton or Loud. So if you're a Sen fan, I wouldn't be too choked up if they ended up not making the playoff stage, because it is a group of death, but it would definitely be a disappointment nonetheless, because this team does look pretty good. I think, when we talk about Sentinels, I think the expectations for a lot of people going into the season were very high for them. With Sentinels, it always feels like they either have to be really good or really bad. There's no in between with them. Like, they're never just okay. But honestly, this might be the year where that happens. Not to say that they don't look good or anything, but I mean, I don't know if their talent level is going to be able to match and overcome a talent level team like Energy or Loud or Leviton for that matter. So I have them at 4th on my power rankings. I haven't moved them yet, but that might end up being a decent spot for them, because I think that 4th place spot for them looks like about where they should be. But we'll see how they do in the rest of this kickoff tournament, and hopefully for them they do end up making it to Madrid, but they have to go through a lot of good teams first. So looking ahead to Friday, we have Energy versus Cloud9. That should be a really good match. And then Loud versus Leviton. So 2 very important matches bracket-wise, and we'll see how this turns out and what the implications for the rest of the kickoff tournament those matches end up happening. EG is playing on Saturday versus G2. I'm picking G2 for that one, but we'll see how that one goes. Let me know what you guys have thought of the VCT Americas Kickoff Tournament so far. Have you been enjoying the return of Tier 1 Valorant play? Which teams do you think are surprising you? Which teams are disappointing you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please click like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.